now to reading and vote on proposed resolutions. The first is PR 21-839, Advisory Referendum on the State of New Columbia Admission Act, Resolution of 2016. This was in the folders, and I move it with one minor change, and that is where it says June 13th, it should say June 28th. So I move this, and if there's discussion, I'll be happy to answer questions. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember Che.
We discussed this at breakfast, of course, but it was my view that it would make things simpler and improved if we simply presented to the people of the District of Columbia the question of statehood. It would allow us to have enhanced engagement later over the Constitution, and it would be a strategy, I think, to give maximum support to the matter of statehood if it was disentangled from the issue about the Constitution. Nevertheless, having discussed this with my colleagues, there is support for the strategy of the 4 questions, and so I will not move an amendment, and I will be supporting this advisory referendum as we have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Che. Mr. Grasso?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have thought about this a lot, and I think in the long run, the best thing to do is to move forward with what we have today, with the understanding that in the fall, we are going to have the obligation and responsibility as a council to hold hearings on this Constitution in a very public way, and then to make sure that the public is engaged to the point where when they do go vote, they understand what it is that we are putting forward and that they're fully engaged in the process. And I think the mayor has done a good job setting that process up to this point, and now it's on the council to step up. I know the mayor has transmitted the Constitution to us in the form of legislation so that we can entertain testimony, we can entertain amendments if we need to make sure that there is a vote. And I know that you've committed, Mr. Chairman, to committee of the whole vote, but maybe even the first vote on the Constitution before November 8th, so that the public is fully aware of what it is that they are engaging in before they actually go to the polls to vote on it. And that is the main reason why I'm going to continue to support this today, is with that understanding that this process is still moving forward and is going to include more public debate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Grasso. Further on this, Councilmember Nadeau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that this vote today is a key moment for DC statehood, and I hope that it will be a victory for DC statehood. So many who have come before us have been working towards this day, and I'm pleased to see that the Constitution that was circulated this week reflects many of the things that we heard at the Constitutional Convention. And I know there is still more work to do. I look forward to doing that as a council and really making sure that we have the best possible Constitution as we move forward. But I am heartened today to have the opportunity to vote in support of this, and really look forward to the work that lies between now and November in getting out the vote, in elevating the issues that are of most importance to Washingtonians, and of taking our rightful place among those 50 stars on the flag. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember Orange.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also am extremely honored today to be able to support the advisory referendum on the State of New Columbia Admissions Act Resolution of 2016. And I want to applaud the mayor and her senior advisor, Beverly Perry, and as well as this legislative branch and all the advocates for getting us to this point. I think it's extremely important that we move together as one. And just like any family, there's always going to be, internal disagreements, but we need to work those out in-house. But as we move forward, we really need to be solid, because together we stand and divided we fall. I'm really elated that we've come up with this strategy to use the Tennessee plan, And I believe Alaska also utilized this plan to gain access to the Union. And at this point, it's great to have all the citizens of the District of Columbia actually vote on this so we can know where we stand with the citizens and the voters of the District of Columbia, so we can all move together in a very lawful manner. So I'm very excited about this. I would hope that we could also engage in going out and getting signatures across this nation. And I've called for 1 million signatures to get folks to support our plight here for the state of New Columbia. The fact that we are a $13.5 billion organization, $13.5 billion government, that we have in excess of $2 billion in our rainy day fund, the fact that our citizens fight in all the wars, and we pay more taxes than what I believe 22 states. Our economy is bigger than 22 states, and we're bigger than 2 other states by way of population. So we bring a lot to the table. We're not begging anybody for anything. We're just saying that let us control our own destiny. We can be independent. We can move forward. And at the end of the day, we've balanced our budget, I believe, for 22 consecutive cycles. And really, if you really look at this objectively, the District of Columbia has it going on right now. So, they need to embrace us and maybe even look to us to see, how to keep this country moving forward. And I'm really just pleased to have this opportunity to be on this council at a time as this and to cast my vote and to vote in favor of this process. So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank everybody that's involved. I think it's a great day for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Orange. Councilmember Silverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, with this resolution, the district does move one step closer to becoming the 51st state and granting its residents the same rights as every other U.S. citizen. For decades, advocates, elected officials, and residents have endlessly championed for fair representation in Congress and the right for us to self-govern. This is because, like every other American, district residents believe that they deserve, and we do deserve, representational government that reflects our interests and beliefs. And this initiative is particularly important to district residents because without it, they are bound by undemocratic restrictions and subsequent congressional pronouncements. I think that I speak for all of us when I say that we are tired of seeing initiatives approved by our residents and then rejected by people who do not represent us or our interests. This country was built on the belief of self-governance, and today's initiative will help us finally achieve that for every district resident. This resolution will help advance our aspirations to statehood and fair treatment under the law. I do look forward to working with my colleagues as this process advances to ensure that the Constitution we wrote protects the rights of our citizens, enshrines the values of our residents, and provides appropriate procedures for amendment. But I would be remiss if I did not once again talk about the coincidence of today's vote with our ceremonial recognition of Jerry Clark. He was a champion of statehood and would have wanted us to engage every resident possible on such an important initiative and governing document as our Constitution. I expressed in the breakfast too some reservations that I felt that we did not have a fully engaged process, but I want us to move forward. I know that we are working on an expedited timeline, that there are some statehood advocates who were unable to fully weigh in on the substance of our state constitution, and I do hope that a hearing process in the fall will allow them to do that. Because this will be our governing document, I hope that this council will fully allow for more public engagement as we move forward on our state constitution. I want to thank everyone for this process, and I look forward to becoming the 51st state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilmember Silverman. Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to start by also giving my thanks to the work of everybody that served on the commission, to the mayor's office, to Beverly Perry and her team who have worked very hard the last couple of months. That doesn't mean that, as my friend Mr. Orange said, that everybody agreed on every issue. But in terms of the way we've gone about this, I want to thank the people who have worked so hard to get us to this point today. That doesn't mean that we're done, and there's a lot more work that is still ahead. And like some of my colleagues, I have shared some concerns around how we ensure a body and all of our residents feeling completely engaged in this process. And so with the vote today, I think what we're going to do is we got to make sure we put it on us, that as we go through the Constitution and hold hearings in the fall, it's going to be on this body and on this council to make sure that that type of engagement continues to grow, continues to build confidence. And what we want, of course, is to make sure that on November 8th, we are celebrating a really great day, that we have voters that are turning out to support DC statehood, support what we believe we have an absolute right to, and to make sure that we are moving that forward. And to do that, we're going to have to make sure that we double down on our work here at the council with our hearings. As a ward member, I feel like I'm going to also need to hold community meetings, making sure that ward residents that maybe can't make it down to the Wilson building to engage and to come in and testify, that we hold the type of civic outreach and engagement that I think we're going to need to make sure that that we are all on the same page on November 8th, and that on that day, we're going to see an overwhelming and supportive vote for DC statehood. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. Councilmember Todd.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Mendelson. I would like to commend our mayor, members of her team, members of the Statehood, the New Columbia Statehood Commission for their work thus far. Today, I lend my full and complete support for this measure to ask voters of the District of Columbia if they're finally ready for statehood. It is critical this measure be placed on the ballot this coming November. Here in the District of Columbia, we must gain full control of our tax dollars. We have a larger population than Wyoming or Vermont, yet can't even pass our own laws without the explicit permission of Congress, and that simply isn't right. In 2014, district residents paid more than $26 billion in federal taxes, a larger federal contribution than 22 other states, and still we don't enjoy full and equal representation in the Congress, and that must change. District residents have served and continue to serve bravely and heroically for our armed forces to fight for the democracy of others around the world. Yet, don't we deserve that same democracy here, right at home in the District of Columbia? We in the District of Columbia made our voices heard as the last primary in the country. Now let's be heard on the spirit and the issues of fairness, inclusion, and simply what is right. By supporting this measure to be on the ballot on November 8th, we will give district residents the opportunity to make our voices heard on this vote for equality, a vote for our future, and a vote for district statehood. And I look forward, as my colleagues do, to being the 51st state. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Todd. Councilmember Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm very excited today to have an opportunity to vote for the bill that's before us that will lead us on the road to becoming a state. I first want to take an opportunity to thank Mayor Bowser, who through her efforts has really, again, rekindled and raised the level of consciousness and awareness about the District of Columbia and why we should become a state. And I do want to thank Beverly Perry, who's right here in the front row, who I know put an enormous amount of effort on the administration's behalf to get this before us today. And the commission, our two senators and representative, you, Mr. Chairman, and the mayor who sat on the commission and put in an enormous amount of work, holding hearings all over the city, holding a 3-day convention, again, to get this documents and everything to where we are today. We're following the Tennessee plan, which is a 4-pronged plan, and the goal is to have this ready for the new president when she takes office in January of this year. And one of the two things that I wanted to observe as well is the statehood, for the first time in 12 years, again, due to a lot of people's efforts, mostly the mayor, is now in the Democratic Party platform. So it had been absent for 2 times. So it is in there, and it is a strong statement in support of statehood. I hope we can all avail upon soon-to-be President Clinton in her acceptance speech at the convention to mention statehood in her acceptance speech. I think that would be a huge achievement, even if it's just a sentence. And if anyone has the wherewithal in order to reach out to those writing her speech, or if she's doing it herself, see if we can get statehood into her acceptance speech. And then the first bills introduced into Congress in January have to be the statehood bill. So we have a real shot at this. I've been, here for years, it seems, and back in the 80s was part of the effort, and it would come and go. And a lot of times, the feedback we would get is you're not ready. You know, get your act together, pull your house together before you can do this. A very unfair comment, given the states of many of the states that are states. But nonetheless, a comment made. Well, we have pulled our act together. We are the most dynamic jurisdiction in America. Our finances are the envy of every city, county, or state in America. Development remains at a great pace. We are addressing many of the social ills that cities, counties, and states have. The District of Columbia has never been more ready to become a state. And the bottom line is we are a state in any way one looks at it. We perform all the state functions. We perform all the city functions. The bottom line is just who's paying for what. And that can be addressed. So the time is right, and I want to all pull together and make this happen. The comments about changing the Constitution or making amendments to it and everything are very well understood. We will have an opportunity in the fall to address those. But let's not miss the opportunity. I've said it at the breakfast today, don't throw out the good in favor of the perfect. Let's get this done, and then we'll come back and address what we have to. So again, thank you, everyone. We got a shot. This is our shot. There's a window of opportunity, so let's take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Councilmember Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to support this advisory referendum, and this marks a historic day and a historic vote for the District of Columbia. Not too many years ago, this means a lot to me. Not too many years ago, some of us were actually arrested and went to jail for statehood. Yes, I went to jail. You too, Mary.
I know.
For statehood, and that was more than just a symbol. That was the passion and the love that we have for our city, and for us to be able to get to this point, it really means a lot. I implore all of us to really engage our residents even more so with regards to the state's Constitution. I see so many of our advocates in the audience who have been fighting this fight for so many years, and we have gone, from do we want to vote? Do we want this? Do we want that? We want statehood. We want all or nothing, and we're going to get that in the District of Columbia. So the fight continues even more so in January. The momentum is just starting now, so we have to get everyone fired up, get everyone out to vote. We have to come out in numbers to show how serious we are about statehood for the District of Columbia. So thank you and all my colleagues for this very important vote that we're taking today. And the fight continues. Free DC.
Thank you, Councilmember Alexander. Councilmember Bonds.
Thank you, Chairman, and I join my colleagues, and I am absolutely delighted to join my colleagues. It sounds like we may end up with a unanimous vote today, and that is terrific because it's about our community. The District of Columbia has had its ups and downs. Some of them I can remember. Like Jack, I'm kind of, back there in the day and what have you. But I know that today we are on the right path. Not only do we have everything in place to be a state, but we desire it and we're working towards it every day. And I would just really have to sound out, give the mayor a big shout out for her fortitude, for her thinking that maybe this idea that Beverly Perry may really be on to something and this might really work. And, Beverly and I have a little history together, from some parts of the South. We won't talk publicly about it, but, I know that her spirit is strong and sincere. And when I heard that she was pushing this, I said, this is going to work. Mayor, you're on the right track. And so I really do commend all of us who work towards this. And I see many of my friends, Sweet Susan and others that are here, and I know I'm not supposed to call out names in the audience, and Ms. Jenkins and others, and of course Michael Brown, and of course Paul Strauss, but I have to say that their names, because they've been there and they've been fighting forever. And of course, if Jerry were here, he would be in here waving his little flag, just as Elisa says. This is so important to us in the District of Columbia, to reach this point where we're all beginning to say it's statehood. I remember the day when we were talking about voting rights, rights in Congress, and there was a small crescendo of individuals that said, it's statehood, it's statehood, it's statehood, and it is statehood. So I'm really excited to be on this dais. Never thought I'd be here, but I am here with you, and to have an opportunity to vote. This is a historic vote, and I hope we understand the significance. And yes, not every piece, every line, every T, every I is handled in the manner that some of us feel it should be, but it's good. It's good because we're moving forward, and we always have an opportunity to make things a little better. And so for that reason, I'm totally committed to doing what I can to make sure that as we move into the fall season, that we will have an opportunity to hear from more citizens. But you and I know that the citizens who come out are the citizens that have a voice. And if you don't come out, you don't have a voice. And we want you to come out, and we need you to come out, because we need to hear from as many people as possible that are near and dear to the District of Columbia on this measure. But this is an exciting day, and I can feel it all down the dais. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember Bonds. I just want to note that, Councilmember May, did you want to speak?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Well, Councilmember May, please.
Thank you, sir. We definitely, as we're fighting for statehood and moving forward and bringing the district in parallel with other states across the country, want to make sure that we're doing that internally with Ward 8 and making sure that we're bringing Ward 8 to the table and making sure we're thinking about them. But I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, to our mayor for bringing national attention to the issue of the issues that we face here in the district, and definitely her team, Ms. Perry and others. And very importantly, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank the residents who came out to the different community meetings and made sure that their voice was heard, and to participate in this process to make sure that we're moving forward ahead. And I just look forward to supporting this initiative and excited about what the future will have on behalf of the District of Columbia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember McDuffie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to repeat all the things that my colleagues have said, because obviously they are accurate and correct. And so I'll just say ditto. I also say that this is simply a no-brainer. This should happen, it must happen, and I want to be a part of making it happen. And I appreciate the mayor raising the profile of this issue and the work of Beverly Perry and the folks on the commission. The residents of Ward 5 deserve to be a part of a state. We shouldn't be treated any differently than any other jurisdiction across the country. The District of Columbia deserves this. So let's continue to fight to make it happen. I'm proud to be able to cast my vote in support of it today, and look forward to joining my colleagues to do so.
Thank you, Councilmember McDuffie. I just want to note, so that everybody understands, I think members know this. Yesterday, the mayor introduced the draft constitution. This was the document as approved by the New Columbia Statehood Commission on June 28th, after 3 lengthy community meetings that were called conventions. The Committee of the Whole will be holding a hearing, at least a hearing on the measure in September, October, so there'll be an opportunity for further public comment. And as I believe Mr. Grasso was one who noted that we will see if we can get at least a Committee of the Whole markup before the November 8th election, if not a first reading. So if there's no further discussion with regard to this, we have PR 21-839 before us. There was the one change, the date, it's supposed to say June 28th, not June 13th. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. We'll turn now to PR 21-840.